Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you two things that I hydrate my dog's kibble with to extend his lifespan and majorly improve his overall health and happiness. I apologize in advance if my voice is really groggy and weird today. I had surgery this morning and my throat is like super raw, but I am just absolutely determined to get this video out at the same time as last week, so let's get into it. So I'm going to be starting off by cutting up some vegetables. I'm going to start with the carrots. I've got 3 large washed carrots, and I'm going to be cutting these into some pretty big chunks just because they are specifically going to be for a bone broth. So these vegetables are just additives for some extra nutrients. I'm also going to be cutting up 3 to 4 stalks of celery. I also washed these down before I'm cutting them up. I probably cut these ones a little too small. You can cut these into bigger pieces. These are also just for some added nutrients. Conda can already smell the lamb sitting up here, so he is ready to be absolutely feral throughout this entire recording process. So I've cut up my carrots and celery, and I'm going to add some fresh parsley. Also rinsed this off. I think you should always wash your produce, especially if you're giving it to your dog, just in case there's any leftover pesticides on there. And I'm just going to roughly chop these just so that they steep better and cook down a little bit easier. But these are going to be in the pot for a long time, so all these vegetables are going to get really soft and all of their nutrients is going to get leached out by the end. Measuring them out, I'm just going to use a cup and a half total. Also here, I've got close to 5 pounds of lamb, just a mix of lamb shoulder, lamb shank, whatever lamb pieces had the bone in them. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any lamb bone marrow. So next time I do this, I'm probably going to try going to a butcher's shop and see if I have any luck there getting some more big bonier pieces. Because since this is a bone broth, that is the main thing, but there's still a lot of nutrients in the meat. Then we're going to add our vegetables. Conda getting extremely excited and a little too bold, sir. Get off of there. Go to your place. Thank you. Good boy. Okay. Also going to add a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I usually use apple cider vinegar with Mother. Adding that to our stock. I'm also going to add some filtered water. I'm just going to fill this up until everything is completely covered. So this is what it's looking like now with everything in the pot. Unfortunately, I don't have a slow cooker. This is super ideal to do in a slow cooker. I just have a crock pot. I'm probably going to end up having to do a few batches of this, but I'm going to start off by boiling it, and then I'm going to bring it down to a simmer. So now I'm going to bring the temperature down. Conda is smelling everything. This is like the most exciting day ever to him. Going to bring it down to a low temperature and then cover it, and I'm going to leave this for about 8 hours. At the end of the day, after it's been steeping for about 8 hours, this is what it's looking like. So this cooked down way more than I expected. Again, probably because this isn't in a slow cooker, it was in a crock pot. Now we are going to strain out all of the meat and veggies. Earlier on, I already took out the bigger chunks of meat that were attached to the bone, but now I'm going to strain out everything. And this is what we're left with in the colander. Then I'm going to pour my broth into a container. It's less than I wanted, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do a second batch with just the bones to try and get some more out of this. I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator because all of the fat from the meat is going to have to solidify and separate from the broth itself. This is all the meat that I've taken out so far, and I'm actually going to keep this, including with the parsley and vegetables, and use this as another topper for Conda. So now I'm just going to go through and separate any big chunks of meat and any remaining meat and put it into this bowl. And this extra meat with the soft veggies is going to be used as his protein topper throughout the next few weeks. You have to be really, really careful not to get these little bones stuck in there because some pieces can break off, and you do not want your dog eating any kind of cooked bone, even if it's a small piece. Depending on the size of your dog, it can be really bad news, so you'll want to be really careful to take out the bones. I froze the bones overnight, and then in the morning, I tossed them back into the crock pot. I'm re-adding all the same amounts of vegetables. I'm adding all the same ingredients all over again, all the same vegetables, parsley, but this time there's no meat on the bone, so I'm hoping I'm gonna get a less fatty broth. And I'm just going to cover this completely in water until I've almost filled the entire crock pot. This is going to cook on low. I'm not going to raise this to a boil at all. It's just going to cook on low for the entire day. I'm going to try to get about 12 hours out of this. I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to come back to it tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and remove the fat from the broth from the first batch. As you can see, it is solidified and separated. This actually removes super easy from the broth because the broth has become like a jelly and the fat is its own little solid layer. So I'm just gonna scoop out as much of this as I can. Unfortunately, I don't really have a use for this. I don't eat animal fat or animal products very often, and I don't want to give Conda this much saturated fat, so I'm just throwing the fat away. If anyone has a better idea for what to do with the fat, let me know in the comments below and I'll try it out. As you can see, the broth is now just jelly, and it doesn't look like much, but this actually goes all the way down to the bottom, so I do have a few inches of this really rich, thick jelly. Now we're at the end of the day, and this is what my broth is looking like after 12 hours of steeping with just the bones. Gonna separate it with my colander and metal bowl. And already I have way more broth this time, and it's already looking way less fatty. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add this to my first batch. This is a little too much for this container, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna scoop some out and put it into the molds that I use for his other meal preps. And since these will be frozen, these are gonna last way longer than the broth that I'm going to be using throughout this week. So once the broth is gone, I'm gonna start using these bone broth molds to add to his meal as toppers, or just as a really nice treat for him. And these go into the freezer immediately. And then this is what they look like super early the next morning. They froze overnight. I was worried there was going to be some frozen fat in these, but not at all. Of course, have to do a taste test with Conda, and these are quite popular with him. I'm gonna go ahead and take all of the leftover meat and veg from yesterday. I'm gonna separate it out into portions for him. According to his specific meal plan, he needs about 9.6 ounces of animal meat per day. Since he is not used to eating this much animal meat, I am not going to be giving him 9.6 per day. So I'm going to be splitting his servings in half to get him used to this. He is really wanting this, so I'm just gonna make him a little meatball to try. Gotta give him the taste test. And he is a super big fan of these. Little more because he's such a good boy. So I'm just gonna separate these into bags. Gonna go ahead and put the bag on the scale, zero it out, and then add the mixture until I have 9.6 ounces per bag. I'm kind of sifting through this with my fingers as well while I'm doing this to make sure that I didn't miss any bones. And then once I have it all in there, I'm gonna just squeeze my hands through it again to make sure that there's nothing hard that I'm missing. Conda's nose is going feral. He wants this so bad. And there, that is one bag, which will be 2 servings. And because I'm not giving him this every day because I need to adjust his stomach to this topper, he's going to be getting this about once or twice a week. So each bag is going to be enough for 1 week. I end up getting about 3 bags out of this amount, so this should be good for the month. I'm gonna put 2 of these bags in the freezer to save for the rest of the month, and then 1 of them in the fridge to use this week. He's been really patient and such a good boy, so I'm gonna give him one of his chews. These are crispy codfish ocean chews. He used to be able to have belly sticks, but he's sensitive to beef now, so he just sticks to codfish. I highly recommend these. They're super safe. They are pretty smelly because they do just smell straight up like fish, but he loves them. They don't last him super long, but he gets 1 or 2 of these a day and he seems pretty happy with that. So now that that's all done, I'm going to show you the second thing that I like to hydrate his meals with. I like to use decaffeinated green tea, organic if I can. I got this through my dietitian's link. Make sure it is decaf. Please God, do not give your dog caffeinated tea or anything caffeinated. Make sure it is decaf. This is something that I add almost every day. He gets about a cup a day. Sometimes he doesn't get it, but usually he does. So this is just going to steep in hot water for about 2 to 3 minutes. And this is actually something that can extend your dog's life. Green tea is super good for people and dogs. And since he is a very spoiled baby, he gets this. 1 tea bag makes 1 cup. So sometimes I throw in another cup in another bag and I have some tea with him while his food is hydrating. So then I'm just gonna pour it into his food and let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes while I get everything else ready. It's been about 10 minutes and now his food is all hydrated. I'm gonna add his typical daily supplements. If you're curious what I'm adding, including these green and red toppers, check out the video I posted last week. I will put it in the description. There's also a handful of supplements that I rotate in his food every day. He doesn't get each one of these every single day. He gets his multivitamin every day. I'm adding some slippery elm powder to aid in his digestion. Some organic spirulina for extra protein and nutrients. And then I'm also going to add some organic bee pollen to help with his allergies because he is a very sensitive boy and gets allergies constantly. Sometimes instead of bee pollen, I just use locally sourced wildflower honey. And that's about it. That's the hydration, and this is what the meal is today. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what you thought in the comments. See you later. Bye!